streaming on. We are on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Listen, guys, you really do have no rights now. Look, guys, I want to start this live stream by saying something that I've previously talked about, which is, and we was talking about this back in the summer, August, the rights of asylum seekers trump the rights of the local population in the United Kingdom. Now, that is the reality that we understand at this point, guys, okay? So what do I mean by that? Well, it turns out court rules asylum seekers can stay at EPPING Hotel. So really, guys, and this is from today. So you know how I keep going on, how I keep, I keep going on talking about how how we have no legal framework to oppose a government. This is a perfect example. Like right now, ladies and gentlemen, if there was ever a better example of what I've been talking about for the longest time, this is exactly it. So before we start on this, guys, can you make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all those things that help this channel grow? We are double streaming today, guys. We are on YouTube and we are on X. We're also streaming on TikTok, but I don't think I've started to stream yet. I don't know if the internet's working. Right, you know what? I'll give that a minute and then I'll turn it off. I'm not sure if that's working. But anyway, what I've been talking about and what I've been harping on about on this channel is the legal framework to oppose the government. And right now, I'm claiming, and I've always claimed, that in the United Kingdom, we have no way of opposing a tyrannical government. Now, the example I give is about the firstborn child. But look, let's say this. Let's just assume that the people of a town wanted a hotel closing because bad things were happening in that hotel. Let's just say the democratically elected leaders of that, the councillors, that's what I'm talking about. Let's just say the councillors agreed that that hotel needs to be closed. Let's just say that the local member of parliament for that town, for that constituency, they agreed that the hotel needed to be closed. But the government said, no, staying open. And what? And what can you do about it? I'll tell you what you can do about it. Absolutely nothing. Now, this is a real world example, ladies and gentlemen, of why it's so important that we have some sort of legal document, legal framework, legal amendment, whereby the people of the United Kingdom can oppose a tyrannical government. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we do not have that. So I'm going to read the first paragraph of this article, and then I'm going to go back to a previous article that I know I spoke about. And I'm going to let you guys see how these what's the word I'm looking for? How they dovetail together. And also, ladies and gentlemen, the special relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom does look like it's over. The United Kingdom have stopped sharing intelligence with the United States. This divergence is happening now, guys. It will happen, and it will continue to grow. So asylum seekers can continue living in an Essex hotel after a council lost a landmark legal battle at the High Court to remove them. Epping Forest District Council sought to block migrants lodging at the Bell Hotel in Epping by arguing its owners had flouted the rules. Okay, So let's just imagine this. Let's just change these headlines, shall we? Let's just change these headlines. Court rules, firstborn child, unable to go live due to an internet error. Right, guys, what's my internet like? I'm not able to go live. Right, for some reason I can't. Yeah, for some reason I'm not live on. For some reason I'm not streaming on TikTok. So I'm just going to turn that off. For some reason it wouldn't let me stream. All right, let me move that. So let's just change these headlines, shall we? And look, guys, I've been warning about this for such a long time, and I do think these headlines will get more insane. I do think these headlines will get more crazy, but because it happens slowly and slowly, people won't notice it. Let's just change these headlines. So the headline at the moment is Court rules asylum seekers can stay at Epping Hotel. Let's just change that headline. Court rules firstborn child have to be handed over to the government. Oh, right. Okay. There we have it. The High Court's ruled. Nothing we can do about it. That's just the law now, ladies and gentlemen. We have no further action we can take. Now, I want to jump over, guys, and this is an old article. So that was posted today, what I just spoke about. I want to talk about this now. Now, this is an article, and I know I reported on it, from August 29th, 2025. Rights of asylum seekers trump the people of Epping, the Home Office argues. This was an article that was released like in the summer, at the end of the summer, where, can you guys remember, let's not forget that this really happened. Let's not forget that our own government came out and they argued, our own government, who we pay, you know, like our own mum and dad, you know, entrusted to look after us, claimed that the rights of asylum seekers trump the people of Epping, Home Office argues. And now we have confirmation, ladies and gentlemen, that the rights of asylum seekers do trump the people of Epping. I'm not making that up, guys. There are articles that are out in the mainstream media. You guys can go check those things out. It is bonkers, guys. It's absolutely bonkers. It's insane. You know, and this is why it's so important. You know, this is why it really is so important to have that legal framework to oppose a tyrannical government, because we really don't have it, guys. You know, regardless to what other people say, that is not, we just do not have it. Right, guys, what's my internet like? My internet keeps... All right. Right, where's the other thing I want? I wanted to find... I did have another article. Yes, is that it? Yes, right, okay. Looks like also the special relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States may be over for now. The United Kingdom suspends some intelligence sharing with the United States over boat strike concerns in major break. The United Kingdom is no longer sharing intelligence with the US about suspected drug trafficking vessels in the Caribbean because it does not want to be complicit in US military strikes and believes the attacks are illegal. Sources familiar with the matter told CNN. The UK's decision marks a significant break from its closest ally, an intelligence sharing partner, and underscores the growing skepticism over the legitimacy of the US military's campaign around Latin America. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I've been warning about this. I've been warning about these diversions where the United Kingdom are going to have to lead in Europe against the Russians, and the United States are going to focus in the Middle East. Those things are coming, guys. They really are. And this is just more evidence of that. Right, let me jump onto the chat, guys, because, you know, there's been lots of stuff happening around the world, around the country. We have got a man who has, you know, children are being warned in Birmingham. Sorry, not children. Parents are being warned in Birmingham as children approached by a man. That's all they're telling us. 91 prisoners have been released by mistake under David Lammy. The rate of UK unemployment has risen to 5%, which is spectacular. The first pictures of the Nottingham man who murdered the 23-year-old girl, the first pictures of him have arrived, and the number of benefits claimants who never have to work hits 4 million for the first time. Wild time. Hang on a minute. Let me read this. That doesn't work. So there's 1 million. Hang on a minute. This doesn't work. These numbers don't add up. Right, let me share this with you guys. Right, I'm going to share this with you. I'm going off topic here. I'm going on a side quest because I've just thought of something. Right, ladies and gentlemen, with your calculators, all right? Number of benefits claimant who never have to work hits 4 million for the first time. Right. So 4 million people there are claiming don't need to work, right? Okay, whatever. And then 1.58 million, call it 1.6 million because that is slightly over. So let's say 5.6 million. And are these Why are these working benefits claimants? What are these? What are these? Anyway, these numbers don't add up. If the population of the United Kingdom is 66 million and we have 5% on unemployment benefits, 5.6 million is greater than 5% of 66 million. Am I wrong there, guys? Is my maths? Hang on. Population of UK, 69 million. This doesn't make sense. This does not make sense, guys. This does not make sense. That does. Unemployment rate. Right, I'm going to give up with that, guys. I'm going to give up with that. That is making my head fuzzle. That is making my head fuzz. Guys, is it just me, or are those maths, or does that maths not add up? That doesn't make any sense. Right. Look, guys, can somebody put this in the chat? Can somebody put this in the chat, guys? Okay. We have almost 70 million people in the United Kingdom. They're claiming that 5% are on. The maths doesn't add up. 100 million. Anyway, right, let's not go there, guys. Let's not go there. Right, we've got more pressing matters at hand. Right, let me get some. Right, Dominic Kennedy. Yes, it's almost 10%. Guys, is my maths wrong? Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've just jumped on something. Guys, look, I think we've just stumbled on something there. I really do think we've stumbled on something. Like, are the government claiming that we've got 10% unemployment? Is that what the government is that what the government are claiming there, that we have jumped onto 10% unemployment, 9 point whatever? Like, the maths doesn't add up, guys. The maths really does not add up. Like, when I do these live streams, I always say it's not the information that you get given that's the smoking gun. It's the information that surrounds it. So like we've just seen there, with the number of people claiming, that is not 5% of the population. 5% of the population would be like, a lot lower, whatever it is. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, right, let me jump up here and get some of the chat. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Right, there's quite a lot of people on the chat today, guys. So guys, what's the internet like? Because it's been really strange here. Oh, Donna is saying, breaking news, large explosion as NATO military plane crashes in Georgia. Right, let's have a look what this is all about. Okay, so this was a C-130 cargo plane. A Turkish military plane has crashed in Georgia after taking off from Azerbaijan with 20 personnel on board, including flight crew. Okay, so the C-130s they're aging a little bit, but they're not that old and they are well tested. A harrowing video shows a C-130 plane spiraling and trailing white smoke before hitting the ground. And erupting in a plume of black smoke on Tuesday. Right. So what I would say with that, guys, is, sometimes aircraft do fall out of the sky. A lot of these places, especially in the Middle East, they don't have as, what's the word I'm looking at? Their, especially in the Middle East, their aircraft maintenance is not potentially where it should be. They don't really, especially in the military. So this may just be a crash. I don't see this. I don't see foreign actors in play because, like I've always said, the one of the main players in that region is going to be Turkey. Now, I don't know. Let's just say, for example, the Russians try and take down and I'm not saying it's not. I'm just giving you guys my real-time speculation. Let's just say that the Russians do try and take down that plane. That's going to look bad for the Russians, and the Turkish will want to distance themselves with the Russians. Likewise, if this is any of these other groups, that's going to look bad for the Turkish. And the Turkish are kind of like, they're in the middle. It's a predominantly Muslim country, but they're a part of NATO. They're in the Middle East. So, they're a very pivotal country. Right, let me close that. Googleino is saying the world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, built by the US Navy, as the most capable, adaptable, and lethal combat platform in the world, has now moved into the Caribbean. Yeah. So I think they're all moving in there to, they're moving in there with potential for strikes on Venezuela. That's what I would speculate anyway. That's what I would be speculating. Happy Moo 23 and a fantastic thumbnail. Happy Moo 23 is saying our government are against us, so now we need to go against them. Look, ladies and gentlemen, right? Jumping back onto what we spoke about earlier on today. It is some crazy stuff that's happening. Back in August, the government in the United Kingdom said that they do not believe that. Well, do you know what? The Home Office, was it the Home Office? Yeah, the Home Office argued that the rights of asylum seekers actually trump the people of Epping. By logic, the rights of people coming here for the first time trump the people who live here. And that's what the Home Office argued. Today in court, it was ruled at the High Court. The High Court ruling was that the migrants can stay at the hotel in Epping. And look, guys, nothing happens. All those people protesting outside the hotel in Epping? What has it achieved? Literally, what has it achieved? They've spent their money. They've probably, time off work, whatever, and what has it achieved? I would speculate it's achieved literally nothing. Nothing it has achieved. You've got the local council. So if you're international, it would be like state government or whatever that is. Their local member of parliament. So if you're in America, that would be like your, your senator, I guess, like a senator or something. Everybody in that region has said that hotel needs to close. The government have said, nope, it's staying open. And what? What opposition can we do now? And this is the thing, people will go back to courts. There will, another legal hearing, another this. They're going to try a technicality. It's all a fugazi, guys. It's all fugazi. What really needs to happen? People need to take a step back. People need to look at, people need to take a step back. People need to look at the actual situation and think, right, okay, what is the underlying cause of all this? What's the fundamental reason that all this is happening? And this is it, guys. And I keep fucking repeating myself. The people of the United Kingdom have no legal framework to oppose their government. And this is what happens. This is literally what happens, guys. Each and every time, this is what will happen. So while all these, all these protests and everything, it doesn't have anything. Nothing happens. James is saying apparently he's banned from entering the US. Police are speaking to. I don't know what that means, James. I don't know what you're talking about. Apparently, he's banned from entering the US. I don't know what that means. Can you let me know who you're talking about? The CPS to press charges on him, but over 100. I don't know what that means. And Googlino is saying you're forgetting migrant numbers. Yeah, so when I'm talking about the numbers of people now in the United Kingdom who are like, we've gone to I think 10%, not 10%, the government are claiming that there's a 5% of the 5% of the population is unemployed. I'm claiming by the information that I just shared with you guys then, the information that I just shared with you guys then, the unemployment has jumped to, the government are claiming that unemployment has jumped to 5%. I'm claiming with the information that I just shared with you guys, where we saw the graph, that this is actually at like 9%, 9% or something, because if we're saying that there's 69 million people in the United Kingdom, then we've got 4 million that don't have to look for work, 1.6 million that are looking for work, that are all claiming some sort of unemployment assistance. That's 5.6 million. And as last time I looked, guys, all right, 5.6 million was more than 5% of 69 million. That's the maths, guys, all right? That is the maths. The maths is not wrong. I may be interpreting it wrong. The data may be wrong on somewhere. Now, clearly the data is wrong somewhere, because to me, it seems like Britain is almost at 10% unemployment. That's where it looks for me, guys. Now, the numbers of when we talk about, now, they're the people who have the right to work. These numbers don't factor in illegals who don't have the right to work. People who are in hotels waiting for their asylum claims to go through. They're not. Those are separate numbers, guys. That's what people need to understand. They are totally separate numbers, and I don't know what those numbers are. Nobody knows what those numbers are. It's kind of the problem. Right, guys, I'm just going to jump down because there's loads of... I'm just going to jump down, guys. There's absolutely loads... Oh, no, I'm going to get this out. So, Googlino is saying... Eritrean asylum seeker attacks 3 police officers in migrant hotel rampage. Look, it is all mounting up at this. And Paul Victor Charles Williams is saying... Good evening, Sean. Now, listen, with a name like Paul Victor Charles Williams, I could not respond to that. Good evening to you, good sir. So I was reading something about, it may have been an Eritrean man. So this Eritrean man, I think he was Eritrean. I think he was. He'd been done for sexual stuff. He'd been sent to prison, or I can't remember, but a lady came out to put a tag on him, like the little ankle bracelet they get. A lady came out and he sexually assaulted her. So I'm like, what? How are these things happening? Literally, how are these things happening? Sean, have you seen the war map? Russia is ramping up, taking ground. Right, the war. I'll just have a look quickly on the war map. It won't have updated yet since this morning. It updates at midnight Ukraine time. So that's like, yeah, it's not updated yet. The war map will update. It will update at like midnight tonight. So it'll be up to date as of yesterday. Sorry, it'll be up to date as of today. Tomorrow, if that makes sense. It's always one day behind, so it won't have changed from this morning. But yes, the Russians are pushing forwards. Like I've said, ladies and gentlemen, ultimately all these wars, ultimately they're all going to be fought, won, and lost by private soldiers with bayonets fitted. X82 is saying, I feel their rights always mattered than ours. Yes, hate to admit it, but the protests possibly nitto. Look, remember in the summer, I was very skeptical about these protests. People were saying, Sean, are you going to the protests? I was, I was honest with you guys. I said, look, I'm not going to these protests because they won't achieve anything. They don't achieve anything. There's no pressure put on people. The police deal with them and you might get a couple of arrests and some people get some good content, but if we want to have real change in the United Kingdom right now, The only way forwards, guys, and I promise you, the only way forwards is to start this national conversation, and it's just a conversation. Somebody tell me how we legally oppose the government. Nobody's talking about it. And you've got all these, you've got all these like online lawyers and these nobody's thought about it. That's the one thing, nothing else. Everything else is just little bits of like sprinkling. It's like we want a steak dinner and we're just putting condiments on an empty plate. We need the steak on the dinner first, guys. We need to know the direction of travel. And that is it. Nothing else. Nothing else. Have a 1 million man march. Have a 10 million man march. It's not going to change anything without that legal right to oppose the government. So, for example, ladies and gentlemen, okay, the people of Epping right now, this is I think this really is a perfect example. So the people of Epping, they don't want that hotel, and it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what that thing is. If those people don't want it, they shouldn't have to have it. And that's the reality, guys, okay? If those people, that's democracy, the will of the people. Do we have will of the people when all the people are saying, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. No, we're good. We don't want that anymore. And there's like a very few people who are calling the shots. And like, is that democracy? Does that seem fair and just? So let's just talk about this situation now. Let's just talk about this situation and how, if the people of the United Kingdom did have a legal framework to oppose the government, this is what could potentially happen. So let me get the US Second Amendment up here, actually. Right, here we are. And obviously, I'm not saying we should have something copied from the US Second Amendment. What I'm saying is we don't have anything at all. We literally have nothing. So let's just say that this Epping thing happened exactly as it is. If we did have some sort of legal framework to protect ourselves, that the people of a town, of a constituency could mount a resistance against the government, this right now is when that would come into action. So, for example, US Second Amendment states a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So I'm not really interested in the second bit, because I do think those things cause a lot of problems in the wrong hands, not mine. So I want to focus on this first bit here, guys. And look, again, while everybody wants the big protests, we're all going down with Tommy Robinson and we're going to win. I'm not taking anything away from that, guys. I promise you, I'm not. I think it was fantastic. It was a show of force. It was kind of like an awakening. The reality is, what has actually changed? So while everybody wants to do that, this is what's really going to matter, guys, okay? Now, let's just say, for example, let's rephrase this a little bit and let's just go with this, okay? So let's just say the United Kingdom have a legal obligation for a well-regulated militia being necessary to oppose the tyranny of an unfree land, or something like that. It's that first bit there, guys, okay? A well-regulated militia, and having that legal context and interpretation of what that means. Now, if we had that in the United Kingdom, the people of Epping could come out in force and they could enact the will of themselves. They could say, look, we're the people of Epping, we're the Epping People's Militia, we're the first Epping People's Militia. We're taking over this country. We're taking over this situation now because the British government is in breach of their constitutional obligations. This is what we want. You're not providing it. We're going to do it ourselves. And that is why it's so important, guys. Nothing. What's going to happen now? There's going to be another legal case. Somebody's going to crowd fund another legal team, and then they're going to go in there and they're going to try and close it down by another technicality. It's not going to happen, guys. This is what we need to do right now, that legal framework to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. And if somebody's on here, say that and they think I'm wrong, please call it out, guys. Please call it out. Donna Hook is saying AI said this, but it doesn't work. People in the UK can legally oppose the government through various democratic and legal channels, including voting, contacting elected representatives, and peaceful protest. Right, okay. So Donna Hook with a fantastic thumbnail is saying basically, like, let's be clear, guys, here, without having that legal, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but look, these are the legal channels that we have at the moment. So let's just go through them, what Donna Hook's saying, what AI is saying. So we can vote. So these are the legal channels we currently have to oppose a tyrannical government. So, if the government go full tyrannical and they say, right, the firstborn child of every house has to be given over to the government. Right. I'm gonna vote for another party at the next election. Yeah. How much damage do you think is going to be done in that 4 years? Right. So let's just cross voting off, guys. Yeah. Let's just cross voting off. Let's just say, right, voting's not working. It's like changing the wheels on a broken car. Contacting elected representatives. Okay, so they've contacted their elected representatives in Epping. They've contacted their local representatives in Epping. They have all agreed, all of them unanimously, have all agreed to close that hotel down. Not happened, has it? Not happened, guys, not happened. Hotel's still open. Not only is it open, but the government are now saying, well, back in August, the government was saying the rights of asylum seekers trump the rights of people of Epping. Right, okay, so let's cross off contacting elected representatives, because that's not working. Peaceful protests. There have been peaceful protests outside that hotel for almost 6 months. Nothing's happening. You see, when I said that the Epping Hotel is a perfect example of why in fact, guys, I'm going to do a separate standalone video on this. When I said that this is a perfect example, look what Donna Hook's just said there. They are the only methods that we have at the moment, guys, to legally oppose the government. Voting, contacting an elected representative, and peaceful protest. That's it. That is literally it, guys. And nobody's talking about this. Literally, nobody's talking about this. People are all thinking, oh, we'll pass some more legislation. We'll pass this legislation. Oh, we'll take them to court for building regs. It's all fake. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters without that, a Second Amendment as such. Slim is saying to Donna, so we are swizzled then. Yeah, we are absolutely swizzled. And this is why I keep bringing it out, guys. People don't even understand people don't understand what we need. And people are not showing. And I'm shocked. I'm a little bit concerned, actually, that you have these big influencers, big profiles, people who claim to be intellectuals, and nobody's mentioning this. This is what we need, guys. Nothing else. Right, I'm going to jump down, guys. I do apologize if I'm missing anyone's comments. Happy Moo is saying, if we can't oppose legally, then we have to oppose illegally. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. We can't oppose the government legally. The government have guns and stuff. It's not going to work. It's going to be a bad day out for everyone. Band is saying the government has nowhere to go. They can't deviate from their orders from demonic forces of Davos. So protest alone cannot possibly work. Direct action would. Yes, but direct action where and at what scale? Paul Victor PVCW. Paul Victor Paul Victor Charles Williams is saying national strike, Sean. Again, it's not going to happen. Never going to work. You will get an amount. You may get an amount of people, maybe 1-2% of people striking. That's going to be it. People are selfish. People are selfish. And they're not going to want money not going into their bank accounts. Not a chance. Not a chance that's going to happen. You know, you will get people saying, right, I'm going to down tools. And they'll be going, right, okay, then I'm sacking you. What? Yeah, I'm sacking you. There's plenty of unemployed people. We'll take them on. National strike, in theory, would work. In practice, it's not. It's just not. It's not achievable. Oh, sorry, guys. I've not got the chat on. Sorry, guys. I apologize. Thank you, Four Paws, for letting me know. Sorry, I didn't have the chat on. Sorry, guys. Listen, I go off on them sometimes, and I go off on little side quests, and I totally forget. Right, guys. I'm sorry. I do apologize for not having the chat on. The chat is on, ladies and gentlemen, at 35 minutes. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I do have to close this one down relatively early as well. So I've got about another 10 minutes, and then I need to close this down. Claire is saying, I couldn't stop going to work. The lads I support will... Yeah, this is what I mean. You know, there's a lot of people who can't go to work. And Donna is saying, 3i Atlas is breaking up. We've not heard anything about 3i Atlas for a while. Paul Victor Charles Williams is saying, I agree, Sean. We are greedy, but we have no choice. Won't be a country left otherwise. I agree. I'll give you the example that I gave before. So I was like a while back, I was in the gym, and this is to Paul. I'm just taking your, this is in response to Paul's comment here. So I've given this example a couple of times, but I was in the gym a while back, and I can't remember what had happened, but I was listening to one of the gym instructors behind me, and they were saying that, like, I think, like, his girlfriend or something, she just lost her job, and they were going to move into a new place, so they can't do that now. Yeah, that was it. It was his girlfriend had lost her job because of these taxes, the new taxes. And I was listening to him, and he was saying, yeah, my girlfriend's lost her job, and, we were going to move into that, we were going to move into that new place, but we've decided not to move in there now. So what we've actually done is we've decided that we don't need 2 cars anymore. We're going to stay where we are. We're going to sell one of our cars, and I'm going to come to work on a bike. And actually, we're better off. We feel better now. We've actually got more money. And this is the problem. People lie to themselves. People lie to themselves and say they're in a better situation than they are. So here you've got a perfect example, you've got a perfect example, okay, of somebody losing their job, a couple, somebody losing their job, and rather than say, yeah, this is crap, we need to deal with this shit, they've lowered their life quality, not moving into that new apartment or wherever it was. I don't know what it was. Maybe a house. I don't know. Not moving into the new place, selling one of their cars, and somebody's going to work on a bike now. And they're actually lying to themselves and saying that, it's just a stopgap, and, soon as everything will be fine. But this is what happens, It happens so slowly. People get squeezed financially. Squeezed. And you don't think that's going to happen? Ladies and gentlemen, mark this video, because in, 15 days time? 2 weeks tomorrow. 2 weeks tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see how much we get squeezed. We're going to get squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And that is the reality. It happens slowly. It happens slowly. People don't understand. Well, people do understand, but because it's happened slowly, you get all those people who shopped at Marks and Spencer, at Waitrose. They start shopping at Marks and Spencer's. Then they start shopping at Tesco's. Then they start shopping at Asda. Then they start shopping at Aldi. The next thing, they're at a food bank. But because it's happened slowly, oh yeah, we'll just, we'll make do, because it's happened slowly. That's that's the reality. Everybody thinks that this is going to be like the big there's going to be a big bang and a big movement. It's not. It's just going to happen slowly, inch by inch. Riddle me this, riddle me that, Batman. Has Rachel Reeves, or has Rachel Reeves, or has she not raised taxes at every opportunity since she was elected by claiming she wouldn't raise taxes? Just somebody answer that in the chat, guys. Can somebody answer that in the chat right now? Has Rachel Reeves raised taxes at every opportunity since she's been elected after saying that she wouldn't raise taxes? So there you have it, guys. These things are just happening. And it does happen. Oh, hang on a minute. People are talking about Operation Bluebeam. Guys, are we going aliens? I'm going to go in 5 minutes. Are we talking aliens? Oh. I think it was Project... Right, what are we talking about? Right, are we talking about... Right, hang on. Rocketman Gaming is saying, people have forgotten what a real protest is. I'm not going home because it's rain. Is not going home because it's raining or on a break till the weekend, but the government, no, most people have more. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Rocketman Gaming, thank you, buddy. You are 100% right. I know you can't see my beautiful face. I'm here, look, guys, I'm here. I'm peeking. I'm peekabooing. Rocketman Gaming is saying, people have forgotten what a real protest is. Not going home because it's raining or on a break till the weekend. The government know that most people have mortgages, finances, so they have us over a barrel. Exactly right, guys. They know that these protests are not sustainable. Do you know what actually, do you know who can protest sustainably if they wanted to? Those people in hotels. They can protest quite sustainably. They can be out in numbers every day if they wanted. They could all be on. They could just be professional protesters. They could go out in support of whatever, because they don't have those overheads. Right, we're all talking about Operation Bluebeam, guys. Hang on. Googleino actually is saying Secretary of the Army Daniel P. Driscoll announced that the United States is looking to gear up with the tech within 3 years and acknowledge they are reshaping how humans inflict violence. The decision follows observations of the deadly application of drones in conflicts such as the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And X82 is saying Bluebeam meant to be around Christmas. It's not Bluebeam, it's Santa Claus. And they are buying 1 million drones. I hope their technology I hope they're technology compatible, because the technology in drones is changing really quickly. It really is changing quickly. Templar Matt says, you only live once. Stop paying all bills. They can't jail us all. And this is the problem. The first few people, look, guys, realistically, the only way to get ourselves out of this is to have that legal, that framework to oppose government. Without that, guys, nothing happens. Right, let me just jump over, guys. Listen, I'm really running short on time tonight. I'm going to run through what I've been talking about. I've missed loads of stuff. I might come back on later on tonight and do another live stream, or do a video. I think I might do a video later, actually, if I've got time. So the High Court ruling. Now, this is a prime example of what I've been talking about, why we need that legal framework to oppose the government. High Court ruling says the asylum seekers can stay in the hotel in Epping. Let's rewind back to August, when the rights of asylum seekers trump the people of Epping. That's not a reporter saying that. That is what the Home Office were claiming in their defense of those people in the hotels in Epping. It is absolutely insane, guys. Look, I've not even touched on this. There was a report out today saying that 3,700 veterans sleep rough on the street. Like, can you imagine that? Like 3,700 people who've at some point, and everybody has, guys, everybody who's in the military have considered this. Every veteran has considered. Every veteran has considered that they may get deployed and they may not come back. And that's kind of, what you take, what you accept, to protect the country, to protect those you love. Let me ask you this question, guys. These people who are coming over and getting put in hotels, do you think they will share the same mindset? I don't know. I would say not. But there we have it, guys. I think this was out today. 3,700 veterans sleeping rough on the streets. You really couldn't make these things up, guys. It doesn't make sense until you understand why it makes sense. It makes sense because we are looking at total destruction of the United Kingdom. Right. This is an article that I am going to share this with you guys. Right, guys, I'm not going to make this timing, am I? I'm going. Right, I'm going to share this with you guys now. This caught me out. This was from the 27th of October. I totally missed this. This is the gentleman here who is charged. What else have we got? Right, I'm going to leave that. We've got the special relationship between the United Kingdom and the US. Looks like it could be over because the United Kingdom have stopped sharing information with the United States. We've also got 91 prisoners freed from. 91 prisoners freed in error over the last 7 months. Justice Secretary David Lammy has been under pressure following a series of high-profile prisoners being accidentally freed. They include Algerian sex offender, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, whose recapture was partly down to Sky News. Obviously, this is a Sky News article. You've got the other guy, literally the guy who got arrested for the sexual assault, who was living at the Bell Hotel in Epping. He was literally arrested, released by accident, and then he got sent home. I don't think he's in prison, guys. I think he's gone back to wherever he came from. I'm pretty sure that when I saw, because there were press watching him come off the plane, he wasn't in handcuffs. He was literally just got off the plane. I would love someone to try and do a follow-up and see what's happened, because isn't it wild that you can commit a crime in the UK and you don't get punished, you just get sent home? Literally, that Jet 2 advert music, the Jet 2, guys know what I'm talking about, right? You can have a holiday for 4. Literally, you could do that to the United Kingdom. Are you a foreign criminal worried about committing crime in your own country? Don't worry, come to the United Kingdom. If you commit a crime in the United Kingdom, we'll give you some money and send you home. What have you got to lose? In Birmingham, guys, children approached by man as Birmingham schools issue warning to parents. School leaders said police officers investigating the disturbing incident had arrested a man. I'm assuming that this is going to be a Norwegian fisherman. I've always had my suspicion about those people, the pupils in Kings Norton area on Wednesday, the 5th of November. So this is an old article that's just recycling again. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am... Am I on? What's happening? Guys, am I streaming? Guys, the internet has been really weird today. How is my internet being, guys? Right, okay, I think we're back on. James is saying, if Ukraine is on the run, it's time for the coalition of the willing to make a decision, fight or flight. I think what's going to happen, James, let me share this map with you. Let me share this map with you real quick, James. Right, guys, I'm staying on for a bit longer. It can wait. Right, so what I think is going to happen, and I've said this for quite a while, if we look at this, the internet has been really weird today, guys. It's been so weird. I don't know what it's been like streaming, but it's been really weird on this end. So if you look, you've got the wrong way. So if you look at Ukraine here, you've got the internet is just being So you've got the River Dnipro here that literally bisects the country in half. I've speculated that I don't see anything happening, any realistic hope of peace talks, a ceasefire, anything, until the Russians make it up to the River Dnipro. Now, they're going to take that town of Pokrovs. They're going to take that, which is there. They're going to take that town of Pokrovs very soon. And when they do, there's literally nothing to stop them from making that land grab all the way to the River Dnipro. At that point, that's when I think there could be a ceasefire. And when that ceasefire happens, that's when... You guys know what that was. So when they get to the River Dnipro, that's when I think that ceasefire is going to. That's when I think that ceasefire is going to get put in place. Boots on the ground will happen. Once boots are on the ground, they will be wearing their. Once boots are on the ground, they will be wearing their peacekeeping t-shirts. Then they will take those t-shirts off and put their war fighting t-shirts on. That's what I think it is, guys. Right, was my internet being funny, guys? Because it's been really weird on this side. I don't know. I don't know whether that would, whether it's been weird for you guys as well. Sean, do you think you should have a theme tune to start your podcast? I reckon Pearl and Dean. Has anyone? I don't know. Do you know what? When I start it, it says, "Do you want to play theme music?" Maybe I should get one. Do you know what? I'll try and get one. I will. I'll try and get one, guys. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen. Band again, you should see grown men running from camel spiders. Like grown men run from camel spiders. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I do have to close this down a little bit early this evening. Thank you so much for hanging out with me together tonight, guys. I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 10. Just remember, guys, like what's happened, and I know I've missed a load of stuff. Just remember what's happened in Epping is a perfect example of why we need a legal framework to oppose the government. Because with that, with the ability to form a militia and legally legally implement the will of the people, if the police or the government are not doing that, without that, we don't have anything, guys. We really don't have anything. We have nothing. The police are the only ones who have the monopoly on violence, and that's the sad fact. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 10, and I'll see you later.